everybody, and welcome back to another edition of my Grue Rume Show. And for the Grue Rume Show today, I got a very awesome guest, someone I'm really looking forward to talking to. As you all know, I'm a big wrestling fan, and the person that I have today as my guest is a wrestling legend, and he's RVD. Yes, I'm talking about Rob Van Dam. He is my guest on the Grue Rume Show today. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Room, and my interview with RVD will be coming up very soon. This is my Grue Room, and as always, welcome to my nightmare. So stay tuned.
Do you care if this fuck up your algorithm? If I
No, no, no. Go ahead.
I haven't figured out how the algorithm works yet on YouTube, and I don't know. Okay, it's been recorded. Got it.
There
Sweet.
we go. Okay. Well, the first thing I want to start out asking you is for any fans who like want to get into the sport, like want to go to wrestling school, like how long did it take like your body to get used to the bumps and the rope burns when you first started training?
Wow. I don't really remember a point where it went away. It just seemed to be like so gradual. So, obviously it's going to depend on how many days a week you're in there conditioning yourself. But if you hit I think for me anyway, we were training mostly just on the weekends, and it seems like maybe like maybe like a month into it, we started getting used to the big purple bruises under our armpits. And man, it's people don't expect that.
I
Everyone wants to
know.
know how hard is that ring? They don't even think about the ropes.
Exactly.
It's all conditioning though. And I think maybe like a month of hitting it once or twice a week. And then, you never get used to certain bumps because there's such different levels of the extreme factors involved in taking a body slam or
Mhm.
a backdrop from the third level off a roof.
Yeah.
there's
Yeah, there were plenty of those.
yeah, there's always so there's always the physicality, and we always feel it all either way.
Okay.
So.
And for anyone who doesn't know, like, how did the whole Rob Van Dam, like the whole pointing thing start?
So the pointing started when I was in ECW. This was in '96, and I was uh I was pointing at myself, trying to get some heat generated with the audience. I was wrestling Sabu, and the crowd in Philadelphia loved him, and I
Hmm.
was a newcomer. So when they would be chanting Sabu, Sabu, then I would do like a really cool move, jump up, do a 360, land with a leg drop or something, and say, "What was that? What you mean, RVD?" And I actually came up with the actual physical position from putting a little twist on what Jean-Claude Van Damme did in Blood. No, I'm sorry, in King of the Kickboxers.
Okay.
Kickboxer, not King of the Kickboxers. That was the Billy the Tybo guy, Billy Blanks. Uh, that was seasonal films, but Kickboxer, Jean-Claude Van Damme, you've seen it, right?
Oh yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
everyone has. So he wants a match with Tung Po because Tung Po injured
Mhm.
his brother, but first he has to go through this enhancement guy and prove himself. So he's at this dark match, and that's where they do the trade-off and the ribs, the kick, 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 back,
Yes.
back and forth, boom, boom. Finally, bam, couple inside crescent kicks, boom, he kicks the guy off, and then he looks up at the promoters and he goes, I want Tung Po. And I thought, well, that's kind of a cool way of like flexing your biceps without looking like you're flexing your biceps. And that kind of inspired me. And I just added the thumbs, and that's kind of how that morphed into what would be known as my taunt. Yeah, I didn't know
Okay.
I really didn't know I was doing anything special. I was just, working, And then I was in Japan one time, and the bus drove by the big long line of fans to get to the entrance at the Budokan in Tokyo. And when I looked out the window at the fans and was waving, they started doing that back. And I was like, whoa, that's me. Like they identified that with me. That is so cool. Yeah, it was really organic. It was really organic. I see it. I know a lot of wrestlers try so hard to come up with something. What can I
Yeah.
do that the fans will, that'll catch on and some kind
Yeah.
of, hey, like, it's like, nah, it didn't take that much effort.
Okay. And I mean, you watch a lot of those films, the martial arts films, because like you even had some martial arts moves as part of your wrestling.
Always, always. In fact, I used to kickbox when I was a teenager, and
Oh,
then when I went to wrestling school at when just I was 18, like just before my 19th birthday, when I joined the original Sheik and his wrestling school, and at that time I was also training for a tough man contest, which was in town, and I was afraid the Sheik was going to find out and consider it like I was doing something outside his jurisdiction
yeah.
because they're very onerous. You sign a contract that like anything will go through them because if I'm going to put my name on a student, he's going to run around saying I trained him. I don't want him training with 20 other people. They're going to give him bad habits and so anyway, I thought it was I got runner up. Second place for
Oh
heavyweight
wow, that's
tough man
awesome.
contest. Yeah, and I just turned 19. And so I really believed in myself, and I thought, I don't know, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be a pro kickboxer, maybe a pro wrestler, and pro wrestling really took off for me.
Wow, okay. And as you know, Paul is getting inducted this year into the WWE Hall of Fame, and they
Uh,
did a poll where fans asked who they wanted to induct them, and your name was in it, and it looked like a lot of fans wanted to see you be the guy. So if by any chance would you induct them if they asked you?
I can't see why I wouldn't. It would be an honor. But I guess there's so many other guys that I think also would be good at it that I believe I would go around and get everybody else's input that I thought should be in that position and include their words in the speech too. I mean, I think
Mhm.
that'd be the only fair way. I would have to say, Bubba and Tommy Dreamer had to work with this guy and Taz, they lived in New York. So when I only had to see him on the weekends, they would see him in between, and they were very instrumental in helping move the whole company forward. And I
Yeah.
would have to say, I got some words from Tommy, I got some words from Bubba. I think that would be necessary, really, if it was me that was chosen. I think those guys probably know him better than I do anyway. But I mean, it would most likely, I think it'd be someone that they're trying to push, like maybe in the bloodline or something. But I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, and I live in Philly, so I always went to the shows, and I grew up watching E ECW, and so what was that like for you when you first like started there? ECW was different from WWF, WCW, and you created like this whole special league, and it was awesome, and fans just loved it, and to this day they still chant it. And how does that make you feel?
Um, it makes me feel validated. You know what I mean? Because we all gave our hearts and everything for that company because we believed in it and because we preferred that style.
Mhm.
When I got the moniker Mr. Monday Night, it was well known knowledge that I was sought after by WCW and by the what was then WWF.
Yeah.
Well, and so the assumption would be, well, of course he's going to leave. There's more money. That's what the wrestlers do. They use this as a farming territory, work their way up. to be bigger stars. But man, I really preferred ECW, that extreme style. That was where I thrived the most. I'm glad that I stuck it out there and used all that momentum to be the big fish in the little pond. And then eventually, when it was time, then I did go to WWE, but there was nothing else left then. They had bought WCW and
Yeah.
ECW.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and I still was very nervous about transferring my skill set and character and everything to their hands, and
Mhm.
with ECW, it was like anything goes. And that was
Oh yeah.
more adult oriented, is a good way to put it. And I really thought that it was so good that it would turn people on to the product that wouldn't even have to be wrestling fans, because it had that car crash appeal. If you're flipping
Mhm.
through the channels and then you see that a shot that they would, like that commercial they would run all the time on the show where everyone's in the ring, it collapses, or the fire, any of that. Even seeing Sabu jump to the top rope and out to the crowd, it was like, whoa, what am I looking at?
Exactly.
You didn't even have to necessarily be a wrestling fan. So that's why myself, a lot of the wrestlers, a lot of the fans really preferred that extreme uh, effort and extreme result that came across from all of the from that time period. Anyway, it was the most fun that I'd had in my career.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And being a fan going to the shows, like the match that I really loved, that to this day I still can't believe I saw it, was the tag match where you and Sabu went against Hayabusa and Hakushi. And like Hayabusa, of course, passed, and I always loved watching like his wrestling and stuff. Like how was it like to be in that match with Hayabusa and be in that tag?
It was great. It was so much fun. And it was the kind of match that I don't know if exists anymore because it was so competitive.
Mhm.
I hadn't met either of those guys before that night, Hayabusa or Hakushi, and you know, talked to him a little bit, met him before, but a lot of what we were doing out there was trying to take the spotlight, and trying to,
Yeah, definitely.
you like we're working with each other to an extent, but we're also competing to outshine, to impress people the most, to be the, you want to be the biggest star, you want to make more money. That's what it's all about, and a lot of people on the outside never understood that competitiveness that is and was a much bigger part, I think, of the business. But I mean, it's
Mhm.
still part of it, but it's, obviously it's changed from what it was. But when I would go to Japan, um, so much of the match, like at least half of the match, was just going out there and doing what we call catch can, which means if you go for my leg, I'm going to try to jump out of it, try and make you look like a fool, and try and look quick and nimble. And that match definitely was that. And I thought that is what made it so awesome, so good, as opposed to a clean choreographed piece of work. It was
Yeah.
just, yeah, we were all out there. Given what we had, and it made for awesome chemistry, great footage. I'm glad that one was on pay-per-view.
Oh yeah. And was it when you went to the WWE, was it hard at first to get used to their style? Because you were used to one style for so long. Was it hard to get used to their system?
It was, I was always told that I adapted better than any of the other guys that came over from the invasion angle, and obviously went farther than those guys, but and not as hard as I thought it would be, because I didn't know, you know, for all I knew, I'm starting next week with WWE, and I don't even know if they're going to give me a silly name and a costume and change my whole history, act like I came from another planet. I don't know, and that's what I thought at that time, and I was like, the only place to go if I want to continue being a television pro wrestler in the United States, this is it. And let's, Paul's there. At least I got a friend. Let's see what
Right.
happens. And I was really surprised when I found out the first day that we were representing this invasion angle. I was going to be part of ECW, and so that added so much depth to
Mhm.
my career and my efforts. Instead of wiping it out and replacing it, it actually added to it. And so I was so happy. And because of that, and because I got to be RVD, that made it a lot easier because the adaptation was minimal, but there was still a lot of adapting, and a lot of it had to do with getting used to the politics, which didn't even have
Oh yeah.
anything to do in the ring. But in the ring, I'll tell you the biggest change of agenda, which I don't think most people would even think about because they think about the style in ECW,
Mhm.
and then they think about how WWE, it's aimed at mainstream, it's softer, but the main difference was that the time schedule that you're on is so important. You're on live TV, and we weren't before. And
Ah,
I would go out there on TV matches and never even get a time cue. At that point in my career, I didn't even know how to judge time. Eventually I can tell you, you want me to go 14 minutes on the dot? I'll probably tell you, because I got used to that because it was so important. That became what everything was about. So because of that, that's going to change the style. If you have a 5 minute match till the commercial break and you want to get in what you can get in, you're not going to go to the top row of the bleachers and go out in the crowd. And so that in itself was like the major thing that really changed everything. Was hold on, now I have this framework to work with, so I'm going to be approaching it differently.
yeah. And wanted to bout you had when you wrestled Cena and it was for the belt and the crowd was like so wild that and like was Cena like scared a little bit that the crowd was gonna attack him.
He was I don't know if scared would be the right word, but I'm sure that he was wondering, like how,
Yeah.
he had an idea of what to expect, and what a good sport he was. And he knew going out there, obviously, that he was going to be the heel, but nobody
Mhm.
could have predicted how 1,000% for me they were going to be, and how nobody could have predicted they were going to throw his shirt back, and that stuff. The best part of ECW has always been the crowd. There at
Yeah.
least
Oh yeah, definitely.
at least half of the show was the crowd, and that was represented in One Night Stand. And for me, beating John Cena for the World Championship was my crowning moment because the buildup for that was my entire career, sticking to my guns, being one of a kind, doing what I wanted to do by ignoring the right people that gave me advice I didn't want to hear. And because of all that, I was the best representative to put forward when we brought ECW back as a third brand to put them on the WWE's platform. And so, because of all that, that was to me the most rewarding time period out of all my time.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
And you're doing stuff now with Tony Khan and AEW, and how cool is it like you when like you were wrestling and working with Taz and now you're teaming up with his son Hook, like, and you're doing matches with Hook, like how does that make you feel? Like it's like a full circle type thing.
It totally is. And really, there's a lot of next generation wrestlers that are in the industry now from and but they're in AEW. I can only think of, I guess, Billy Gunn's kids
Oh
are
yeah.
um yeah, I guess maybe a lot of them are in NXT or WWE, but it's cool, and I like Hook. He's a good dude, and it's cool that I'm still able to do everything and consistent. And so a lot of my peers like Taz, that are gonna get in the ring again because they're done with it. It's
Yeah.
cool to look at it from that perspective that I'm still doing my thing, and now his son is someone that I could kind of kind of help out a little bit, and maybe give a rub or share a little bit what I might have picked up over the years, and kind of have a little bit of experience here and there now at this point in my career. I think it's super cool. And then I'm also realizing that now I think I stand for inspiring people, because the first thing they think of seems to be that I'm 53. That seems to be a factor that just boom in the front of their mind. And so if that's the deal, then cool. It seems like people are motivated, inspired to see that 53 to me doesn't sound different than 43, or 33.
Right.
And so that's good. I always am happy to inspire, but also in this particular direction, it's depressing to me how many people age themselves into the ground so early and so young,
I
just by
know.
their mindset,
I
their
know.
self perspective and esteem, and their understanding of their relation with society. It's all of that contributes to 35-year-olds saying, "Oh, I'm an old man. You got to give me time." What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm at 53. I'm not sure now, like when I'm going to identify with old man, because really, like some of my friends that are 60 now, they're not old men. So
Yeah.
I don't know. 70 sounds old.
Yeah, right. And like that's another thing, like watching you now on AEW, like you haven't lost a step, like you still do all the stuff you did and you still look good in the ring. Like how do you keep your body in shape like that and flexible, because you're still very, very flexible yet?
Yeah, it's it's just like I said when it came to that match at One Night Stand with Cena. I have consistently done what I thought was best using the guidance that I had at hand, which part of that is spiritual. I'm really connected with the universe, and I feel um that guidance and that relationship, and I work on that, and I've been working on that since I walked out from WWE in 2007, because I had the mind and the body, but my spirit was ill. I was so burnt out that I didn't know what I was doing it for anymore, and I had to leave. And ever since I did that, my spirit became my priority, and I make decisions now based on my spiritual vibration, and I take the others into consideration. In other words, even like an alcoholic drink might make me happy, but I'm not going to tell everybody that has addiction problems and stuff. Forget about your health. Go straight to the bar. It's a really, you got to have everything balanced. And anyway, I have always been accused of marching to a beat of my own drum. I've always been the only guy that has an hour stretch routine workout uh, be-
Oh,
before I wrestle. Not a warm up, an entire workout. I'm sweating. No one has ever in my career that I've seen do that. There's been
oh wow.
Yvonne Dudley and CM Punk routinely stretched. It's just not as long, but they at least routinely get down on the floor before every night. And besides that, the other guys, they do a couple of these, and they say, "How do you do it, Rob?" I've been pretty open about everything I do. My cannabis use,
Yeah.
slows down the aging process.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's something that people don't even know yet. I've known it. My mentor for cannabis advocation was Jack
Hmm.
Harrer. Jack Harrer is a very big name. There's a weed strain named after him. Everybody mispronounces, called Jack Harrer. But he had this thick book called The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and he educated everybody on the fact that hemp could replace like 80% of everything, and cannabis is the most resourceful plant on the entire planet. And so it's not just about getting stoned. In fact, that's why it's prohibited, because it could replace so many of the big conglomerate businesses that really rule the world. You know, I mean, there's a consummation ones like alcohol and tobacco and pharmaceuticals, but there's a material ones, which is just everything. When I first learned about hemp, I knew you can make like shitty shirts from it, and that was about it. And then I learned about wood, And then after being around Jack, I learned not just the wood, but the insulation, the paint, the lacquer, anything that you put on it, you can do anything from it. And I always like to bring up if you haven't, if you didn't know, Henry Ford made a car out of hemp and it ran on hemp seed
Oh,
oil.
wow.
Yeah, and he introduces the World Fair in the 40s and wanted us to be self supplying and be able to take care of ourselves, but that's not the way the rich were going to get richer. But anyway, since I had learned about like all of that, that became a big part of my life. Jack told me,
Wow.
he said you could live longer. What more do people want? But people are coming around. They still don't know that yet, though, that it actually can expand and extend your life expectancy. There's no guarantees.
Well, yeah, of
Tomorrow's
course.
not guaranteed.
Yeah, of course.
But it's always made sense to me, and it's always something that I've always been willing to offer when people ask me. Stress is the main uh, com- opponent of health, and it comes in all
Mhm.
kinds of shapes and sizes and forms. And the less stress you have, the healthier you're going to be.
Oh, wow. And you have your own store too, where you
I actually,
sell.
so the stores is just a myth that came about. I
Oh,
yeah, I just had a company that sold products to the stores, and
gotcha.
but my partners were ripping me off, found out and closed it down. So currently, I'm talking with a lot of different people about doing different things, both with the glass pipes and stuff. We'll be
Mhm.
soon talking about some RVD pipes, which is cool, and also with different different cannabinoids. But currently, there's nothing there to talk about. I don't have to profit off of it. As soon as I found out that it could help so many people, and that the pushback was so much BS. I kind of felt obligated. It's something I paid a lot of attention to, and I've always felt like sharing facts with people that want to know them, they want to hear. If they don't
Oh,
want
yeah.
to hear, that's fine too. If it's not your thing, that's cool. Stick to your stereotyping, whatever works for you.
I know, right? Exactly.
Oh.
And but you also act too, and I saw you did voice work for video game. Of course, you did the WWE games, but you also did Saints Row
Yeah.
and like when you're doing like a video game, like how do you find like the right voice to use?
Well, often, usually in a video game, my character is RVD, so that one, I got that one down. You're gonna have a hard time telling
Well,
me
yeah.
I got it wrong. But for Saints Row, I don't remember. I think we were just playing around, and I thought about this voice for an announcer. Yeah, I was inspired by Jesse Ventura, and I guess that's probably because I grew up watching like Wrestling Challenge, and it was Jesse Ventura
Yeah.
and Gorilla Monsoon. They were commentating on the matches, and so that was in my mind. And then a little bit of Hulk Hogan, like it came like between Jesse and Hogan in my mind. And I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna pick something, and I just gotta like try and stay committed. And I think I did maybe like three different games, and after being gone for a while, and they bring you back, it's like, can I hear that voice again? I'm not exactly sure I remember how I did it, and I don't want to screw it up, but and it's been so long now, I would have to hear it. But I was trying to be like, it's a botchamania, it's a botchamania, Rocco, or something.
Right. Do you play video games?
I don't currently. It's been a big part of my life. When I was younger, I
Yeah.
would always pick one game each summer to master so that I could put a quarter in the machine and play for hours and piss everybody off that's waiting in line for the new game. But um, I have games. I have an arcade game that's got like I think 380 games on it. And
Oh,
so
wow.
all the games up to a certain year, a few years ago when I got it, all the games I
Nice.
used to play because it's got a computer inside of it, but I never fire it up though. No. And once you had to more than two buttons, It's kind of like when I started like drifting into onto other things. If I had
Oh,
punch,
okay.
punch and kick, or attack and jump, that was okay. The last game I remember playing was Virtual Fighter when that was
Oh
new,
yeah.
and it looked cool because it was like 3D, and you had to know hit back twice and both buttons at the same time to do a drop, leg sweep and boom, boom, and that one, took a lot of learning to hit up and kick to do the jumping kick, and so that's about as far as I got, and then it seems like games were changing, and I never got into anything after that, and I really never got into Mortal Kombat, but over the years though, Moon Patrol and the wrestling there was one called Wrestling Challenge, but it was also called something else. There was like one that was almost the exact same with a couple different characters. Wrestle Matt Mania. There was some wrestling
Oh,
games I played. Yeah. Jump Bug, which was when I was real little. That might have been one of my first ones. Super
nice.
Pac-Man was one.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a classic.
Yeah.
And
Big
I'm
Doug.
just gonna
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask a couple more questions. I know we're coming up on on the time and stuff. And
I have most of my games, by the way, but they're from WWE from my time there. They would give them to us, but they're in the box still in plastic from the different game
oh
units,
wow.
Sega, Nintendo, whatever. But yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of keep them as a collector, but I've never played them.
Oh wow, that's awesome. And as you can see, I'm a big horror guy, and I always like asking my guests this: are there any horror films that you like?
I was in one recently that got um, let's see. I don't know how much of this I can talk about. I was in one recently, and it's like a recreation of a classic, and it has some finishing work to do, but it had a financial faux pas, let's say, and anyway, I'm talking to them about recovering that, and then moving that forward, and then I'll be able to talk about that, and that'll be, I guess, I mean, I guess, yeah, that's probably definitely my biggest horror film that I was in, because the shark movie is more like a sci-fi horror, I guess, right? The shark,
Yeah,
you had a shark attack, and growing up, The Exorcist was the scariest movie ever. Every time it was
I
on,
love that
I was a
movie.
little kid, I would have nightmares. I'd be in bed afterwards thinking my bed's gonna start jumping.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And I was the same way.
that was rough for a little kid.
Yeah, definitely. And if what kind of music is on your playlist? Like what kind of songs do you like listening to?
I am probably the most musically uninclined person that you will talk to today, this week, this month, maybe ever. I don't know. And I notice that people subscribe their souls to music, and I don't. And that's one of the things that probably makes me weird, but I think it's weird because music is just a thing. It's a thing, and it's not everything, but we wake up to a musical alarm, listen to music while we're getting ready. If you look at it like an art form, let's see, do you want to watch music or do you want to watch wrestling? Wrestling, but we're going to hear music while we're getting coming to our seats, music while the wrestlers come out, title music to the show, music at the end. Okay, let's watch a reality show. Okay, it opens up with music, there's going to be musical jingles on the commercials. Music is everywhere. And I personally believe that it robs our subconscious. In fact, I know it does. I mean, you got a song in your head, or even if you're tapping your foot, to a beat on the radio while you're working, some of you is being dissipated, some of your focus, some of your concentration.
Right.
I don't see how you could even argue with it. It's like fact. And so for me, I don't subscribe to it. I usually have the radio off when I'm driving. Sometimes I'll put talk radio on. I don't hate music, but it's like just a thing, like
Mhm.
if we're in the car and it's quiet, like I'll ask Katie, I'll be like, do you feel like listening to people sing? We could put that on. You want to hear people sing and play musical instruments? Because that's what it is. And
That's true.
it's weird to me that everybody like gives their soul and spirit to music. I don't. Having said that, I do feel energy, and like reggae music
Yeah, yeah.
makes me happy. Sometimes powerful techno or something, I'll feel the energy, but I don't like to go to concerts or
Oh,
I
okay.
live music. If someone says, "Hey, you got to meet us at this bar," there's live music. I said, "Hey, you lost me already." I'm trying to talk, not scream over the fucking beat of a bass drum in my head, in my ear. So, I don't know that many people watching or listening will be like me too, because I think maybe I'm the only one. I don't know, but I'm glad that you can at least understand my points.
Oh yeah, definitely. And who's your
Whenever, like
favorite?
throughout the years in interviews, whenever I'm asked to name my favorite band or whatever, I always just put my friends over, people that are in the industry, or because it's like, well, whatever, it's crazy. People argue about,
Oh,
who's
I
best,
know.
no, you're crazy. Led Zeppelin and 74
Yes.
beats the hell out of my, it's like,
Yeah,
how could you, nobody could be even right and wrong about it. It's so subjective.
I know you're right about that.
Love you, baby.
Who's your favorite superhero and villain? Because I know you were big into to comic books. I don't know if you still are.
I'm not. I guess just like the video games, although the comic books I carried into like my 40s. And
Okay.
and then when I got divorced from my evil ex, I kind of like could have lit my whole life on fire and just ran from it and been okay with it. And I was just like, all my statues and action figures and everything, I'm not gonna put that in my new house moving forward, since I have
Yeah.
to, because you got to like rebuild yourself after something like that, and it just wasn't priority for me anymore. But it always will have a special place in my heart. And growing up, I grew up on Marvel. My guy was Ghost Rider.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, ever since I was
definitely.
yeah, since I saw Ghost Rider number 28, Evil is the Orb. I was reading that at a grocery store while my mom was shopping, and I was hooked. And man, I still have my comic collections that were important to me. But I
Mhm.
had everything that they ever made of Ghost Rider if I found it, from the action figures to posters to t-shirts to wallets and statues and keychains and just everything. That was like I guess I'm a hobbyist, and that was something that I enjoyed doing, especially before the internet. Now it seems like it'd be so easy. Like I got a hole in my collection. I need Ghost Rider 78, the Nightmare, oh, here it is. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. But I used to love popping into random comic stores when I traveled, and flea markets and score,
Yes.
that was really fun. But also Spidey, lifelong Spidey fan. And I like the
Okay.
heels. I like the when the heels would cross over and stuff,
Yes,
like
definitely.
maybe you would consider Bullseye a Spider-Man heel. I don't know, but or probably a Daredevil heel you would consider him, but he would fight Spider-Man and he would fight Ghost Rider in a
Hmm.
special thing. And I always loved that. I loved Mysterio. He was one of my favorites.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mysterio and Bullseye. Um, see who's somebody else that I got a lot of respect for in the heel community. Um, uh, Damn, maybe I should have just stopped with those two. I mean, Nightmare was cool. With Ghost Rider, he had. It was also cool when the original guys would come back. Like they would fight way back in the day. But he had Centurion, was cool. Damn. I liked Bullseye for his skill, you know what I mean? And
Okay.
I didn't even know
Yeah.
he had a superpower for most of it. I thought he was just skilled. And then one point I found out his accuracy was enhanced somehow. And I'm like, what? Is that true? Stereo, same thing. He's got like Hollywood equipment and he can make these 3D
Mhm.
illusions and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. And damn, I don't know. Let's go with Nightmare is my is another one. I like the Incredible Hulk as well. So I used to have a regular Wednesday pickup list at the comic store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And
Venom,
this
of
is
course. Venom.
Venom's great. I love Venom.
Yeah.
And this is the last question I'll ask you is I know you won belts like in WWE and TNA, you're Triple Crown guy, and would you love to win a title in AEW since you won it in all the big feds, the ECW, WWE, TNA?
I think it would be awesome to be the first one to do that because, and I think I would be because I've been told until recently, I was always told, or I would see people talking about me with the title, the introduction of the only wrestler to have held all three heavyweight championships, TNA, ECW, and WWE. And then they started saying, well, Bobby Lashley now has done it too. And so,
Hmm.
so I don't know if there's someone else or if it's just us two, but if Bobby hasn't had the AEW championship belt, then I would like to grab that and be the only one that's had all four.
Nice.
It'd be awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool to be in that position anyway. I mean, what is the best way to use someone that has my experience, my skill set, my status and marketability and position in the business? What is the best way to use that? Do you just have me there to give the young guys a rub, or do you get behind me? And is that, is that what the fans want to see?
Yeah.
Maybe so, maybe so. Even if I had to win them over after a couple matches to prove to them that they're what they thought they were seeing, they weren't seeing. They were seeing the whole effing show.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what the fans want to see. Look, I mean Sting just had his final match, and the fans went crazy for that match, and he did a lot of spots in that match too.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't see it, but I mean, obviously, I heard the noise. That's been all everyone's been talking about for weeks. So that's awesome. Did you see my boy Scotty Riggs on camera? Did they show him?
Yeah, yeah, they showed him and no Keita Koloff too. Like they had him
Cool.
on camera, and yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully it really is his last match because there's no credibility anymore in the retired wrestler. After all this, he should feel obligated to stay out after making this big. I think I would. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to retire though. I think I'll just, I don't know, leave it open.
Yeah, definitely. And where can fans follow you at? Because you got a podcast too now too, and like
Yeah.
where can fans like watch your podcast, follow you?
Yeah, so my podcast is called One of a Kind, and it is on the premier streaming network. And then the footage, the clips of it also go to my YouTube site. So subscribe to the Real RVD on YouTube, and that's the same on all my social media. The Real RVD on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and on my YouTube page, I'll also, besides the podcast, if we have any other footage like from conventions that I go to on the weekend or anything else, we
Mhm.
throw that on there too. So we're building up a base of subscribers and putting some effort into that and having a lot of fun. Um, I've got a lot of people that tell me that they watch the podcast and that they love it, they learn from it, whatever. Obviously, I'm always going to give a different one of a kind perspective than you're going to
Oh,
hear
of
somewhere
course.
else. It's loaded with stories that no one has ever heard of. And my YouTube page, all the RVDology episodes that I did are stories that are not out there. And to me, that's fascinating that people want to stay in the rehashed stories and learn every little detail or get everyone else's perspective on stuff that's been out there. So, and really what inspires me a lot of times when I think back, there's stories that either I haven't told, or sometimes I'm the only one that could tell it because everyone else in it is dead now.
Well, oh yeah, well yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but anyway, that's what I find on my. Besides my perspective, yeah, I enjoy that part of it. While I'm getting asked questions from my co-host Dominic, I'm always like getting hit with flashbacks. Like you just sparked another memory. Let me tell you a quick little story about Stan Hansen, and
Nice.
oh yeah, and they're all my stories. No one else could have them, but hey, I enjoy it. So check that out at Premier Streaming Network or the Real RVD, and follow me everywhere. Thanks for the interview. I enjoyed it.
Definitely. Definitely. It was a lot of fun, man. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to seeing you during Mania week. You're doing one of the things in Philly, one of the pictures and meet and
I'm gonna be
greets.
doing a lot of things. Yeah, so far I got WrestleCon 3 days.
Hmm.
I got a watch along Sunday night. I have a marijuana dispensary in New Jersey that I'm going to be doing an appearance at that
Oh,
week.
really?
I have a match against Speedball Mike Bailey that week.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple other both. I've had the celebrity boxing promoter Damon Feldman and Busted Open Radio both asked me if I can squeeze in stopping by them, but it's going to be a really busy 3 or 4 or 5 days. So hope to see you there. Also, you can still go to robvandam.com and you can see where all my appearances are coming up because I'm traveling all over and coming up over the next few weeks, Massachusetts and Ohio and Arkansas and Philly, obviously. But
Well, yeah.
that's robvandam.com. If you can't remember that, I can't deal with you.
Well, thank you so much again for this. It was fun chatting. Have a really great night, man.
Oh, you do the same. Right on. Thank you, Rocco.
Thank you, buddy.
See you down the road.
Definitely.